I bet you know how to make good brownies. Today, we're gonna make great brownies. What makes great brownies? Some high quality ingredients and some excellent techniques. These brownies will be fudgy and chewy and gooey. They'll have slightly crisped edges. We'll finish them with some flaky sea salt. This will be the only brownie recipe you ever need. Print out that recipe, it's in the description below, and let's get started. Turn your ovens to 350 degrees, that's 180 Celsius. We are using a metal pan. This is a 9x9 or a 23 by 23 centimeter. We're going to butter the pan, bottoms and sides, and we're using parchment paper. The reason we're using metal is because this is the best heat conductor. The bottom gets that shot of heat as soon as you put it in. The brownies will rise up and then we'll get that nice crackle that we want on top. And the edges get set quicker and then we get that nice crisp, chewy edge. That's the goal here. So I melted some butter here. You just want to put it on the bottom of the pan and up the sides. We'll put one piece of parchment paper this way. I'm going to just press it in there. The butter underneath acts as an adhesive. It's going to keep this parchment paper in place when we put the batter in so it doesn't slide around. This extra piece acts as a sling to just pull it right out of the pan when they're done. Then we butter the top piece of parchment paper. Brownies stick, they just do. You don't want to skip this step because they will stick in the bottom of the pan, and when you go to take them out, it's pretty messy. So this will ensure that they don't stick to the parchment paper as well. Now our pan is prepared, we're going to set it aside. Next, you want to measure out 1 cup of all-purpose flour, that's 125 grams, and just sit that aside. This is going to be a stir-in or a fold-in at the very end of the process. We just want to have this ready. So I'm going to just put that back here with my pan. And next, chocolate. I always have a box in my pocket. Not really. Now we're going to chop 4 ounces of fine quality chocolate, and you want to make sure that you're looking for a high percentage of cacao. This one has 56%. It's semi-sweet. That's a really good chocolate. This is 113 grams, by the way, and we are chopping it for the simple reason that we're going to melt this, and when you're melting, it goes a lot faster if it's in little bits and pieces. Once you have your chocolate chopped, just put it in a bowl and we will set that aside for a moment. The next ingredients we're going to heat over some simmering water. So grab a saucepan, get some water in it simmering, and a heat-proof bowl. First thing you want to do is make sure that your bowl is not touching the surface of the water. You need a little space in there. The steam should rise up and just gently heat the bowl. Now we're going to put 2 sticks of butter, or this is 1 cup, or 226 grams into the bowl. The butter is now melted. We're going to add 1/2 of a cup of cocoa right into the butter. This is 50 grams, and what we're doing here is blooming the cocoa. If you just add dry cocoa into your baked good, you can end up with a grainy texture. So you add it right into either a hot liquid or fat, and it actually blooms or just dissolves completely. That'll give us our smooth texture and nothing grainy going on in our finished bake. This is Dutch processed cocoa, and I chose that because it's just a richer, fudgier chocolate and it's less acidic. If you use natural cocoa, it is perfectly fine. It's just a little less chocolatey and a little more acidic. Now we're adding in 1 tablespoon of instant coffee. This is 4 grams. Coffee is a flavor enhancer. It actually brings out the more chocolatey flavors, and complements chocolate. This does not flavor your bake like coffee. You can also use espresso powder, but it's a little more bitter, so I chose just an instant coffee granule today. Next, we're adding 2 tablespoons of molasses. That may surprise you a little bit, but it does some pretty magic things. I'm going to pour this in here. Have you ever heard slow as molasses in January? This does take time. I'm using molasses because the sugar in the molasses caramelizes, adding to the chewy and slightly crispy edges that we're looking for on these brownies. So just so you know, the molasses does not flavor your brownies like molasses. There's molasses even in brown sugar. It just increases the chewiness. So I'm just trying to work toward getting more chewiness and more fudginess in these brownies. You'll just have to trust me on this one. So we have a beautiful chocolate mixture going on here. Look at that. It's gorgeous. And now we're going to stir in the chocolate that we chopped earlier. I'm going to stir this until it is smooth, shiny, and glossy, and then we'll remove it from the heat. Now it's time to combine our sugars and eggs. I have 1½ cups of granulated sugar. That is 300 grams. 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. That is 50 grams. I'm just going to break that up with my hands a little bit. Sometimes there's really gnarly lumps in there, and I want to make sure there are none. You can use light brown sugar, but dark brown has more flavor, so that's what I chose. And now we're going to add our eggs in. Normally you do 1 at a time. I'm going to add 1 just to get it started, and then I'm just going to put the rest in. And we're going to mix it for 10 minutes. Okay, I'm putting 1 egg in. And yes, you heard me right. I said 10 minutes. That's one of those excellent technique things. What we're doing is incorporating a bunch of air. We're not using any chemical leaveners, so we want to add lots of air, and this is a good way to do it. I'm going to add the other 2 eggs in. I'm going to set a timer and mix for 10 minutes. This extended mixing is also ensuring that the sugar dissolves. That is a key technique in achieving that shiny, crackly top that we're looking for on the top of the brownies. It's imperative that the sugar dissolves. So this has mixed for 10 minutes. I just want to show you the texture before I move on. A huge difference between when we started and what it looks like now. That is a beautiful texture, lots of air incorporated into it. The sugars have had a nice chance to dissolve and get nice and smooth. Now we're going to add 2 more ingredients. See all those air bubbles in there? We're adding 2 teaspoons of vanilla. It's 10 milliliters. Just slowly stirring. And then we're adding 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And that's 2 grams. You definitely need salt, and that's a good bit of salt, but otherwise you're just stuck with this really one note, just flat sweet. This gives a little bit of an offset flavor. And now it's time to add our chocolate mixture. Okay, we're done with our mixer. I'm going to give this a quick stir, just making sure I have everything off the sides of the bowl and the bottoms. And look at this gorgeous chocolate mixture. Oh my goodness. It's just fudgy and beautiful. So it's time to put the flour in, and gentleness is very important here. We've worked really hard to incorporate air into this mixture, and we want these brownies to be just tender and chewy. So we don't want to activate the proteins and the gluten, so we're just going to gently fold this flour in. So this is the texture that we're going for. That is just amazing. Thick, smooth, fudgy, gorgeous. Now we're going to put this in our prepared pan. Just spread this evenly into your pan, being gentle all the while. Make sure you get it along the edges and into the corners. Okay, now we're going to put this in the oven. First, I'm going to tap it on the countertop, just a gentle couple taps, just eliminating any large air bubbles. And now we're going to put it in the oven. The brownies have been in the oven for 20 minutes. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to sit it here on the counter for a second. And I'm going to gently tap them down. I'll tell you why I'm doing that. While I put some flaky sea salt on. You don't want to skip that step because the edges raise up higher at first. And we want them to just be even the whole way across. So that's kind of like leveling the brownies out. And this, of course, is just for that amazing little burst of flavor to offset all the sweet. Now we're going to put these back in the oven for 20 more minutes. Set a 20-minute timer, and I'll see you back here in a little bit. The timer just went off. They baked for the additional 20 minutes. So we're looking for like a delicate, shiny, crackly top. The center should be set. The edges look set and crinkly. They're done to perfection. I'm just going to set them here. They need to come to room temperature to be completely cooled in this pan before we remove them. They'll continue to bake while they're in this hot pan, so just let them be, and it usually takes about an hour, and then they'll be completely cool and we'll cut them. So I'll see you back here shortly. Well, the brownies are cool. They have a shiny, crackly, beautiful top. They look amazing. Pull them out of the pan here. Did you see that easy release? So it's time to cut our brownies. The best way to get nice clean cuts is to use a nice sharp knife, to heat it in warm water, dry it, make your cut, and then wipe it after each cut. I've been waiting for this for an hour, so I'm going to dig in and just pull one out. So look at this. All the techniques that we use just made this the perfect brownie. It's nice and level. There's that beautiful, shiny, crackly top. The edges, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but there's a nice little tapping there. They're soft, but they have, like, you can tell they're just going to be chewy. They're caramelized, which is what we were looking for. And then there's this gorgeous, just fudgy, shiny, gooey inside. I'm going to try a bite. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh, yum. This is gorgeous. Wow, that is a great brownie. The texture is smooth and yet it's chewy. The chocolate flavor is just decadent. It's not overly sweet. It's just perfect. If you have to try this, you're gonna love it. If you make these brownies, you will have made the greatest brownie ever. Give these a try. So now you have the recipe for a great brownie. Remember, quality ingredients, excellent technique, and you will be making amazing brownies. If you love chocolate, check out my chocolate playlist. I would love to bake with you in the next video.